On this very first episode of Impats, we'll discuss the amazing things about our home countries and why we ditch them like a bad date. Plus, why you shouldn't join ISIS. The answer might surprise you. This and more on Impats. All right, so this is Aaron, and welcome to Impats, a show where we discuss immigrants, expats, doing creative things in places other than their home countries. We're going to go around the table real quick and get a quick introduction from everybody. We'll start with Nuha.
That would be me. My name is Nuha. Hello, fellow people around this table. I'm an immigrant because I'm brown. Yes, that would be about it. Rakib?
Hi there, I'm Rakib Karim, and I'm a copy editor for the Star newspaper. I'm a local, so I'm brown as well, but I'm Malay, so I'm essentially a privileged person in this country.
But then you balance it out by also being mixed, so...
Yeah, they don't care so long as I play the role.
Okay, good.
And just for the audience's sake, we are in Malaysia, so local to Malaysia for our listeners' global reach. We want to make sure everybody's up to speed. Mm-hmm. And you're from Nuha?
I'm from the Maldives.
Maldives, yeah. Cool.
And finally, rounding out this very multicultural cast is me, Mike. I am from the Philippines. This is my 4th month in Malaysia. I'm still alive. To my parents back home, who I haven't contacted yet. Everything is fine. They is treating me well. And I'm really excited about this and where we go from here. And hopefully we all live to see the next episode.
Yeah.
And this is Aaron again. I'm from the U.S. I've been living in Malaysia for about 2 years. The reason we all know each other is that we all do stand-up comedy throughout Malaysia and Southeast Asia. So it's a good way to know each other, and we have a lot of things to discuss. So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing I want to do to lead us off is to play a clip from a comedian that we all admire, Hannibal Buress. He was on, I believe, on one of the late shows, and he was discussing what's the difference between an immigrant and an expat. Let's listen in.
Been to Thailand before. I've been to Japan.
Did you have you performed in Japan?
I did a stand-up show in Japan, but you wouldn't be able to tell. If you took a picture of the show, you wouldn't be able to tell it was in Japan. It was a bunch of, I guess they call them, they say expats.
Yeah.
But that's just immigrants. But when there's white people in an Asian country, they call them expats. With expats. No, you immigrants, but you just got a fancy word now. Expatriates. No, you're just a working immigrant.
That's true. They fancied it up. That's not fair at all.
Not at all.
Oh my god, that is such a big laugh.
We messed up the recording and we had to play it off as if we just jumped back in. So thanks for shattering the illusion, Nuha.
That's hilarious.
Hey, all I said was a lame laugh. Maybe I'm just, saying your laugh lame.
Well, you would be used to hearing it. So, so yeah, he does touch on a cool point there. What is the difference between an immigrant and an expat? You can look it up on different dictionary definitions, and there's the colloquial meaning and the actual definition. Nobody has a really clear goal of that outside of like white people, Western countries are expats, people who move from country to country that aren't as developed are immigrants. And I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know. I've just always accepted that I will be an immigrant wherever I go because I'm brown. Never really thought about it. And then I met Mike, who is a lighter shade of brown, but doesn't really count as an immigrant because he's upper class.
That would be tainting the good name of upper class. For me, the immigrant and expat difference was always like, an immigrant is like just happy someone's gonna let them in.
Yeah.
That's like an immigrant, like, oh, thank you very much for letting me in and enjoying this thing you call freedom.
That's true.
Yeah. I think there is an implication of how an expat is probably more white collar, right? So the job that they do is a little bit more skilled, and then the immigrant is somebody who's brought in to do usually menial tasks, right? That's the implication.
But you're the local here, so you're kind of the guy to ask. Like, when you see somebody that you know is not Malaysian here, what's your first thought? Or what puts somebody in one of the two buckets for you?
They're taking our jobs. Here's the thing. It really, really kind of depends, and I know this sounds a bit racist, but it really depends on the race of the person, right? That's the first implication, right? So if this person is from a developed country and is coming here to work, it's likely because, as Mike said, we asked them to come here because we assume that they're more skilled and the pay is higher. Therefore, we call them an expat because the word immigrant is loaded, right? The word immigrant refers to people who come from countries whose perceived status is lower than Malaysia, and they come here and do tasks that are relatively unskilled. So domestic helpers, factory workers, etc. Right? There might be an implication of what country is more or less developed, but like for Mike here, for instance, I wouldn't call him an immigrant at all if I was the kind of a person to make the distinction, because he's in IT, you know. He does things that I am incapable of doing, even if I try my entire life.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Well, let's do something fun. Let's go around the table, and I want to hear your favorite stereotype about your home country that you get here in Malaysia or abroad, just in general. Nuha, lay it on us about the Maldives.
Okay, so one of the first ones that I came across, and the one I remember because I enjoyed it the most, this girl assumed that we didn't have like buildings in my country. So I'm from the Maldives, so it's islands, right? Yeah. So she really thought that we lived on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, my wife really apologizes for that statement.
Your wife is an angel. You should stop disparaging her name. Wow.
Mike's wife is here, being a saint, entertaining their very adorable child outside of our recording room, which is also a coffee roasting room, which is pretty sweet.
Super cool in here.
Yeah. So.
And I don't wanna. I mean, I feel like the race of the girl who made this assumption does not matter, but she was Chinese. So.
What that? You know, first episode, cutting over the bang here.
I'm just saying. It's mostly Chinese people that I hear these assumptions from.
Shout out to Craft Origin for letting us use their room this one time.
Right.
This last time?
Thanks.
This last time.
I'm just saying, you know, I feel like these are discussions we need to have.
Yeah, but on the next episode. So Maldives, also, a lot of stereotypes think about it, that it's disappearing and it's sinking.
It is sinking. It is actually disappearing. We are not making this up so that we can move to your white people countries and become your mates. Like, please help us.
Yeah, no, I would never hire you as a maid. You filthy.
Rakib with the swinging in with
We are in a roasting room, so I figured I'd say
Oh, right. I got
It
it.
is appropriate.
Speaking of, the barista did have to smell us all because he was concerned that if any of us had a strong body odor, that it would cling to the beans. So he gave us all a good sniffing before we entered the room.
glasses of wine or something.
Yeah.
This one has notes of man.
A sommelier of BO. Again, shout out to Craft Origin. Thanks so much for letting us use your room.
That's a thing that happened to us.
Yeah,
Somebody
it's
actually
a thing that
leaned
happened
in and smelled
to
us.
him. Okay,
Right.
it's a thing that happened to him. This guy just wanted to roast some coffee and serve some drinks. Okay,
Yeah.
He had to sniff 4.
He had to quality controlled body order.
He did not deserve that. He
Yeah.
really did.
No.
Good guy.
He had to get on the phone on his manager, ask him if it was okay for us to use the room, and then he had to take an olfactory sample of this ratchet ass UN version that we've got here.
What I think is really special about that moment is because he didn't get the instructions from his owner. He decided on his own proactively. I'm
I
gonna have
like
to
that.
find
I
out.
like it's a good,
Right.
Yeah, critical thought, like expanding, thinking outside the box. He went above and beyond.
Yes, now,
Way to go, dude.
Although now I'm concerned, what if that's just his thing? What if he just
So,
wants to smoke?
Rakib, Malaysia. What's some stereotypes you get about Malaysia, either here or abroad?
Here's the thing. Malaysia is caught between a bunch of other more famous countries. So if people even know we exist, that's a great deal of pride.
Right.
Because
Yeah, our stereotype is what part of China is that?
exactly, right?
Yeah.
Malaysia, that's a lovely part of Singapore,
Yeah.
and I immediately punch him in the nuts. But yeah, you're overshadowed by Singapore and Indonesia and Thailand, the Philippines, you know, and so no one really knows this. We're like the
middle child.
the middle child of Southeast Asia, right?
Okay.
Although Alyssa Milano did tweet about where the hell the planes were, so that's a plus.
That's a shout out.
That's
Oh
a shout
man,
out.
yeah. Hey, shout out to Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, was this a charmed era, Alyssa Milano?
No, this was MH370
then
went missing.
Charmed
at the
was
beginning.
way off the air.
Yeah,
so-
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
But she did tweet about the missing airplanes, and I appreciate that. Yeah,
I'll bet that must have helped the families.
yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What about you,
MH370.
We're
Mike?
just getting everyone today.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to hear stereotypes about the Philippines.
Me too.
My favorite stereotype is actually the idea that all Filipinos are good at singing.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask: is your national anthem Hotel California?
It is not. It's Hotel California.
Okay.
Right,
Thanks,
yeah.
thanks.
You're saying it wrong. It's. I actually think we are not really good singers, and I think it's because we have the biggest balls in terms of just wanting to sing in front of you, and it's like a fart in the room.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody farts in the room, you smell it and you go ugh, and then you stop smelling it. You don't stop smelling it. The fart's there. The nose just gets used to it,
Right.
and I think that's how Filipinos sing. We sing, and it sucks, and it doesn't suck because you're just used to just that nasally sound permeating all kinds of crevices in your
Yeah.
body.
Unlike our shirts when we had to get smelt coming into here.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's the worst one. Actually, one time I said in the show, I really hate the stereotype about Filipinos, and then somebody shouted about being maids, and that was not the stereotype I wanted to talk about. Which is, it's good to know. It's good to get shut down a few pegs after you're considered an expat. You're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. After what you just said about Filipinos and singing, I'm pretty sure you went from being an expat to an exile.
Yeah.
So,
It was good. It was good. I have no plans of going back.
Displaced
Okay,
person, according to the UN.
I have to say, like, when you're talking about the bravery, it's like when you do smell a fart in the room, there is that like, oh, gross, but I admire that person's bravery. I don't know. I could afford it in this elevator. He did.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I need to, but
You
he
almost
did.
want to start a slow clap for that guy.
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
seriously?
Do I smell sardines? Anyway.
Well, there goes my appetite. Oh no, wait, it's back again.
Yep, there we go.
I'm from the U.S. and mine goes across the board. It's
Really?
amazing, especially being from Texas. Everyone thinks we're cowboys, or in Malaysia that we're in oil and gas. But overall, it's just. So, did you vote for Trump?
Yes.
But that's always been like that. It's always back in the Bush era. It was like, did you vote for Bush? Did you vote? And then everyone loved Obama. So,
Right.
yeah,
So-
that
so-
was the good
so
old
did
days.
you?
What's that?
So did you?
Did I vote for Trump twice? No, I did not. I did not vote for Trump. I'm not gonna lean into that too hard. But it's so Duterte, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
going there.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my flanking move.
Yes.
Is I was just like, oh, so Najib.
Yeah. Shots literally fired.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's
yeah.
actually quite funny because people will always say that, Philippines elected their Trump. And I'm like, no, we
You had
elected
it
our
first.
Duterte. The US elected your Duterte.
Yeah.
We were there first.
Yeah.
Way to
We
go.
were there first.
You guys went from like basically just being encyclopedic volumes of American culture, because I've never met anyone who knows more about American culture from the 80s than Filipinos.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's and so now you guys are exporting it back to us. And
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
It's good. It's an exchange program no one asked for.
Yeah.
The current lead for Journey is Filipino, isn't it?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
And we all know that.
Yes. Yeah, it's on the national flag.
Yeah.
I'm personally very excited to see how this topic will lead into our second topic.
Yeah, so Rakib, we're always glad to have him around because he works in the news business, and not the fake news, the real deal, hard-hitting journalistic type stuff that you're going to find around. We can't say for who, but it's a real one. Trust us. And so he's always giving us some pretty wild stories that come across his desk that go to print sometimes and other times not. So, what do you got for us today, Rakib?
Okay, so here's an interesting one. We have a male model.
Ooh.
Yeah, who recently passed away.
Aww.
Yeah, he died while fighting for ISIS.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So, wait, what?
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna need some context.
where's he from?
This I don't. Where is he from?
He's Malaysian, right?
He's
Malaysian.
He is
Malaysian. He was voted most eligible bachelor.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
By a magazine,
By some magazine.
My magazine.
I don't know his name.
And then he went to fight for ISIS after that.
Right.
Well,
As you do.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are the most eligible bachelor, you're not going to be satisfied with 1 or 4 wives. Like, you need those 72 virgins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That's
that
true.
is.
And it's like they could actually look forward to it for once. Most eligible bachelor. They're like, oh, wow, nice.
Yeah.
We got a good one.
Because frankly, if you look at the pictures of the people who usually blow themselves up, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't want to disparage anyone's looks, but they're not exactly.
Their looks improved after they blew
What?
themselves up?
That's not exactly the best filter, okay?
Yeah.
So I like how our beauty tips is try a bomb.
Put
When you've tried everything else,
Yeah.
IED.
start a foundation with some C4,
Oof.
and then do the eyeshadow with some Simtex. That's how you
Oh
do
wow, that is a weird way. That's a weird career transition when you go from model to
Dude.
IS fighter. That is, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what kind of career counselor you go to for that, or
What are
Is
the
it-
steps you would follow?
it. Yeah.
you would, of course, after you win most eligible bachelor, you obviously you do print ads,
Okay,
you do some modeling,
Okay.
you go for TV,
okay,
and then you learn how to configure a C4,
Mhm.
okay.
and then you fight for ISIS. And I think
Right.
this is pretty much how they do it in AA, right? This
Okay.
is
I
how they do it
That's
in
the
the US.
steps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are the steps.
Well, he's not. What I'm finding out is he's not even the first model, right,
Oh,
to
yeah.
fight for ISIS. This is
Yeah, actually, I when I was doing research for the story, I had to specify a Malaysian guy because there was a guy from Australia who also fought for ISIS, was a model and fought for ISIS. And here's another weird coincidence: this Malaysian guy, mom is Australian.
oh.
So I think I don't want to add any more stereotypes or any more reasons for death threats than we're already getting.
Okay.
But the UK did send all their criminals.
To Australia.
To Australia.
Ah. The long
Wow.
play.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the target for this, just in general, for our podcast, was not to go for the Australian market. And I'm pretty sure we're set.
We're
set
yeah,
up.
we're definitely not getting
We're
in, so we're
But
out.
you know, it kind of makes sense because really, what did we find out in later years about Osama bin Laden? That American policies created the situation which led to him having the resources to become a terrorist, right?
Right.
So in a sense, the British are now fighting ISIS, and they created the situation that led to Australians,
Yes.
who frankly are very scary people.
Yes.
Yeah, go to Bali on spring break.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
yeah.
lovely part of Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So there's just this like beautiful sleeper cell of ISIS agents in
Yeah.
Australia. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
How
oh
are
man.
they recruiting Australians? I mean, the ISIS do claim to be Muslims, and Muslims aren't supposed to drink, and Australians are. I mean, the ones I've met, I don't want to
Yeah, you
disparage
can't
an entire
generalize.
country,
Yes.
but the ones I've met are
They're pretty sauced up.
pretty sloshed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think all their liquids do contain a bit of alcohol content.
Yes.
Yeah, I think pretty much their pH level is Jack Daniels. I think is the pH level.
I see.
Water now
Yeah.
extra vodka.
Yes. Their blood type is Foster's positive.
All right, so we want to keep the show short and sweet, and so we want to go ahead and start wrapping it up. But before we do, I'd like to go around the table and give everybody a shameless plug for what's the next big thing you've got going, whether it's a comedy show, another recording, whatever. Let's go around the table. You each get one thing. What you got?
Well, 3rd December is I Love Kale's Christmas show. I Love Kale is on Mondays, one Monday a month. Yeah. So on 3rd December it will be at Crack House Comedy Club in TTDI, and that show always celebrates the holidays very much earlier. So this will be an early way to get your Xmas celebrations on. So please do come down. And then towards the end of the month we have a very merry Muslim Christmas, where it's a Christmas show with just Muslim acts.
Oh wow!
Also at the Crack House.
I'm so
Comedy
excited.
Club in TTD.
That sounds exciting.
I'm really excited to go protest that. Anyway.
Okay.
We'll give you 5 minutes.
Right.
Ooh. There's a lot of things on there. I'll get sniffed for 5 minutes.
You're gonna... Oh my god! You're gonna cut my protest time.
Oh boy. Rakib, what you got?
As everyone knows, we do comedy over at the Crack House, Open Crack. That's happening tomorrow on Wednesday. We're all going to be there. And I also help out with a open mic night room called Laughing Gas that's held in the Subang area. That's happening next month. We haven't decided on a date yet, but do keep checking our socials on Instagram and on Facebook. That's d.laughinggas. d.laughing.gas on Instagram, and you can search for The Laughing Gas on Facebook. So
Wow.
we'll keep you updated.
Laughing Gas.
If only there was like a website or something where you could look up all of the shows that are happening. Wouldn't that be so convenient?
That would be neat. Let's finish the first segment, and we'll get to that. Our sponsors.
So for me, tomorrow at Open Crack, I'm actually hosting the show tomorrow.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And then the next big show I have is a Christmas Cracker show happening December 16th at the Joke Factory. A couple of the expats here in Malaysia organized that show. So I'm pretty sure most of the people there actually revere and celebrate Christmas, unlike the Muslim show earlier announced.
Oh wow!
So that's
how did I get in on that?
So I'll hook you up with that, and so that's happening December 16th. Joke Factory, you can check out. We'll have posters up pretty soon for that, and let's hear more about this site where we can find out all about the shows.
Well, I have a show this weekend I'm really excited about, actually in Singapore. I'm going to be a judge for, I think it's the 3rd Singapore Comedy Roast Battle. And so that's
spicy.
Exactly. I'm excited to be in the hot seat as a judge. I don't have to go against anybody.
Nice.
It's kind of just me versus everyone. And so it's been a real treat looking at the lineup and just thinking horrible things about them and writing for the last week. So
just like the US.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's a dream job.
Are you like the Simon Cowell judge out of 3?
Something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
But I'll definitely.
Yes.
Bring out some physical attributes. It's going to cut deep.
Nice.
I'm going pretty hard on it.
You do understand that the roasting is supposed to be done by the comedians between them.
There's no hard rules.
Just hard feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Cool. We want to thank our sponsor, Comedy Laksa. Comedy Laksa is an online portal that has a calendar of everything that's going on in comedy in Malaysia and Singapore. You can check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and at the website comedylaksa.com. Find out what's funny near you in any neighborhood in Malaysia and Singapore. So that's going to wrap us up on this episode of Impats. Please leave us some comments, suggestions. What would you like to hear us discuss on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Impats with a exclamation point. Because, of course, and if we didn't touch on it, impat is our own contraction of immigrant and expat. That seems obvious.
Oh, that's
not obvious. Not as obvious.
An entire show and none of you knew.
No, I didn't know at all. That is
hit us up on there.
To me.
Please leave.
Sarcasm.
Yes.
Share, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast fix. That's it for now, and we will see you on the next episode of Impats.
Bye.
Bye.